Hey, welcome back to Not So Complicated, and today we are tapping into a very serious thing, that is how to find a research topic or gap for USMLE and other matches. We always have been hearing out since a long time that we need to do research and this and that and this and that to get matched in a neurosurgery residency, right? So why does research matter? We'll talk about that, and then types of research papers you can write and how to find a research gap from the seed of your research idea to our working research paper. We'll talk about each of that in our today's session. So let's begin without further delay. So why does research matter? Research is a proof of your future as a clinician scientist. It is just not a piece of paper, it is the proof of your future, right? So the USMLE journey is not just a measure of test taking ability, it reflects academic potential and critical thinking. To reflect the ability of your critical thinking, you have to have a research paper attached in your CV. So think of it like this. A residency program is hiring you for the next 3 to 7 years, right? So they want someone who not only knows medicine, but can contribute to their academic output, participate in quality improvement projects, and understand evidence-based medicine. So this is just a broad aspect of the medicine, right? So you have to tap into the health, not only medicine, you have to tap into the health. So this program directors, PDs, want three things from you when you apply for residency. So these three things are: can you handle pressure, can you learn from patients, and can you produce knowledge, right? So the pressure is assessed via USMLE step 1 or 2 scores. And can you learn from patients? That is from clinical experience and letter of recommendations that you have to get, right? So can you produce knowledge? That is via research. The third and most important thing is research. So program directors increasingly prioritize research experience. According to National Residency Match Program Directors Survey, 78% of PDs in top tier specialties consider scholarly activity, that is research activity or leadership and other kind of things that prove you as a critical thinker, as a significant factor, right? So especially in competitive fields like dermatology, neurosurgery, radiology, etc., research is very much non-negotiable. You have to have research. So what are the types of research papers you can write? So we'll tap into that. First one is case reports. You can write case reports, which is ideal for clinical rotations, electives, or observerships, right? So if you encounter something rare like unusual TB case or drug reaction, you can document it. The pros, advantages of this research like case report is fast to write and low entry barrier, but disadvantage is that it is a low impact unless it is truly rare. Like if you found Stevens-Johnson syndrome or adverse drug reaction for an antibiotic, that is truly rare, right? So it can be high impact. But if you just put like write a case report on one case or something like that, that is a low impact, right? So the second option you have is systematic reviews. You don't need original data in this. You need a structured method to collect, filter, and analyze existing literature. And the pro tip for systematic reviews is that you have to use Prisma guidelines to increase publication chances. So Prisma guidelines. So what are Prisma guidelines? You have to search that. I have not put attached it here because whenever you start to write a paper, research paper, you need to be familiar with Prisma guidelines in a very core level. So the advantages of systematic reviews is that it is high impact if you executed it well, and it can lead to citations. Citations is that you write a research paper, you publish it, and then some other person writes a research paper and that person uses your research paper as a reference. That is citation, right? So the more citations your research paper gets, the more valuable is your research paper, and then the more strength is in your CV. So the disadvantages of this research paper writing is that it requires literature database access like PubMed or Scopus, but you can have a large spectrum of resources in free available things, right? So there are resources. So the third option that we have is meta-analysis. It includes statistical synthesis of results. It needs statistical tools like RevMan, R, or Python, And the advantages is very high impact, often publishable in Q1 or Q2 journals. And the disadvantages are that it requires guidance from a mentor or a statistician, right? So this is high impact, but it needs a lot of work. The another option you have is original research, like retrospective or prospective. It requires access to hospital or clinic data, IRB approval, and it is ideal for students who already have local mentors. The fifth option is narrative reviews, not always peer reviewed, but can showcase your depth in a field, especially if it is well written, right? So it is better suited for personal learning and sharing perspectives. Narrative reviews don't typically strengthen your CV. So this is the thing that this is the main agenda for our video, right? So how to find a research gap in your field of interest. Like, you just have to think like a scientist. Ask what is missing, unclear, or controversial. So choose your field of interest. Like in what field you want to go. Either it is surgery or medicine or dermatology, obs gynae, pediatrics. You have to choose. You have to at least decide what field you want to go, right? And that will decide the research gap, like the approach to finding your research gap. So step one is choose your field of interest. Why? Because you will need to understand trends, problems, and evidence gaps in that domain. Because research in your field of interest will increase the chance of probability to get matched in the same field. So example, if you are aiming for internal medicine with a sub interest in endocrinology, do this. Go to PubMed and search recent advances in endocrinology 2023 or 2025, right? So Google, you have to Google top unresolved problems in diabetes research 2024 or 2025, because since 2025 has just begun, so you have to tap into 2023 or 2024, right? So you can visit American Diabetes Association site also. So the goal is to understand the key diseases, treatments, and challenges in that field, right? Whether it is internal medicine or surgery or anything, you can do that, right? The second option that we have, like the second step is you have to read existing reviews and guidelines. And why is that? Because to ensure your topic is not already overdone and to learn what researchers still don't know. So basically, if you try to write a paper in a topic which is already overdone, like there are a lot of papers published in that topic, then it will be diluted. Your research paper will be diluted and it loses its value. So you have to ensure that your topic is not already overdone. Example continued, endocrinology, let's say. Search PubMed again, systematic review diabetic ketoacidosis and adults 2021 to 2024. You can search like that, right? And you can pick 3 to 5 papers, focus on abstract conclusion, discussion section, limitations, or future directions. This portion in any research paper is your gold standard place or way to find a research gap. Limitations or future directions, right? So look for the red flags, like there is limited evidence on, or further studies needed to establish. These sentences are red flag, right? So those sentences are red flags for the published paper, but they are green flags for your ability to find a research gap, right? So that is the research gap. Live example from literature, let's say, although SGLT2 inhibitors are widely prescribed, there is insufficient real world data on their role in preventing diabetic ketoacidosis in type 2 diabetes patients. This can be a live example. This can be an example for your future direction. And the third step that you have to do is you have to narrow the topic using PICO framework, that is patient, intervention, comparison, and outcome. So patient, that is type 2 diabetics. Intervention here is SGLT2 inhibitors. Comparison is no SGLT2 use. And outcome is incidence of diabetic ketoacidosis. You can narrow the topic, right? So because you have to narrow the topic to turn it into a research question. Research question is something that defines your research paper, right? So in adult patients with type 2 diabetes, does the use of SGLT2 inhibitors increase the risk of diabetic ketoacidosis compared to those not on the medication? So that is it. That is your research question. So this helps define inclusion or exclusion criteria when you write the research paper, search strategy, and also measurable endpoints. These are the like gold standard. These are the findings you can get from PICO framework, right? The fourth step that you have to do is you have to verify novelty and relevance. You don't want to repeat someone else's work unless you add new value, right? If you write a research paper like in a topic or in the content similar to someone who has already published the paper, that will lose value. So you have to add new value to the field, to the same topic. You have to add the new value, and that is the mantra for writing a research paper. So how do you do that? Search, meta-analysis, SGLT2 and DKA site, PubMed. You can check on that. Check the last update date. Read the conclusion to see if the authors mention conflicting results suggest need for more studies. So outcome is that if the last meta-analysis was from 2022, 2020, and 15 plus new randomized control trials were published, that's your opening, right? Because meta-analysis is done only to 2020, but you have 5 years ahead of that and 5 years of research material that you have. So that can be your opening. That is an example for your novelty and relevance. It should be truly novel, original, and relevant. The fifth step is that you can use AI or research tools to refine the topic. Why? Because it saves time and gives unique angles, obviously. You can use elicit.org, paste your PICO question, that PICO framework that we established this question here, research question. You can copy paste in there and it auto suggests related papers and summaries. And you can use ChatGPT prompt like give me 5 potential research gaps in endocrinology that can be done remotely via systematic review. You can do that. And you can use connected papers or lit maps, create a visual map of how papers link to each other, spot underexplored areas. The other option of connected papers is Research Rabbit. I personally use Research Rabbit. This is very like helpful to me to create a network of papers on the basis of authors or date of publications or topics. This is very much important and reliable. The sixth step that we have in here is we have to run a preliminary PubMed search, that is feasibility test. And why do we have to do that? Because you need enough studies to make a meaningful review, but not so many that it becomes unmanageable. So the research topic that you have decided, right? That you have gained, the research question, the idea, the seed of that research paper. So you need enough studies to make a meaningful review. If there are only 2 to 3 research papers that exist for that specific idea, then the topic is too narrow and it will be hard for you to make a meaningful review. So if you find 15 to 40 randomized control trials or the studies, that is perfect for you. And if 300 plus exist, you have to narrow your scope, like only elderly patients or only low or middle income countries. That can narrow your scope, right? So that is very helpful for you. The 7th step is that you have to define the methodology you will use. Why? Because your research without structure is chaos. So you have to determine which research paper are you using, like this. I have talked about 4: case reports, systematic reviews, meta-analysis, original research. I would personally recommend you systematic reviews or meta-analysis if there is enough numerical data, right? So what you have to do in here is, like, if you choose systematic review, that is ideal for literature synthesis. If you choose meta-analysis, it is if numerical data is extractable, and you can choose narrative review if exploring themes, history, and perspectives. Use Prisma checklist. I have already mentioned about that. You have to do that. And the step 8 is you have to pitch the topic to a mentor or forum. You don't necessarily do that, but it will be easier for you if you do this. So email a potential mentor. Dear Dr. X, I'm interested in conducting a Prisma-based review on your topic, that is your topic. I have identified a potential gap in the literature. Would you be open to supervising remotely or co-authoring? You can do that, right? So you can also post on Reddit, in medical school, IMG, so research, SDN forums, or ResearchGate. You can find a research partner if you don't have one, or you can do it alone, but it will take a lot of time and effort. You have to be determined for that. The step 9 that you have is you have to start a review. Plan the logistics, use Zotato or Mentally to manage references, use Ryan.ai for screening abstracts, use Revman or Jasp for meta-analysis, use Canva or GraphPad for graphs and visuals, and then structure your paper. Abstract, background, methods, results, discussion, conclusion, references, and supplementary Prisma flowchart. That is how you structure your papers, right? So, section 4, we will talk about closing the loop from gaps to match. The final tips I have for you is that you have even one publication in PubMed Index Journal or any journal that is that has high impact factor, it will give you a massive boost. And mention it in IMRAD under publications and attach PDF during interviews. It will strengthen your CV, strengthen your abilities, strengthen your probability to get matched in the residency of your choice. Use it to answer like, tell me about a time you solved a problem in healthcare. You can say that, right? So you can confidently say that. So that is why research paper is needed, and this is how you find the research gap. So it will take time to be published, but you can add the paper in your CV as pending or submitted, right? If you are in dire need. So that is all. Subscribe if this helped, and for more clinical polls, thank you for staying with me. Thank you. All the best for your math journey.